Hello, my loves. I'm back to tell you some spooky stories that I have found on the subreddit r/paranormal. I also have my own subreddit, Spook Submissions, where anyone can post to have their stories read here. Let's get into the stories. Our first story is titled, A Ghost Warning Me from a Psycho. Hello, so about a year ago, me and my friend went ghost hunting in an abandoned house. Or like a hut big enough for 3 family cars. And it was located in a forest. It was abandoned from the year 2001, based on newspapers I found. We went there at sunset, planning to be there for about an hour. We got something fairly active on the EMF detector, and on the spirit box where we found out the past owner's name was Peter. After a half hour in the building, we heard footsteps outside, and the conversation went like this. I asked, "Is someone outside?" The ghost responded, "Yes." I asked, "Is the person alive?" The ghost responded, "Yes." I asked, "Is the person a danger to us?" The ghost responded, "Yes." I asked, "Does the person want to hurt us?" The ghost responded, "Yes." I asked, "Is there a reason why he wants to hurt us?" The ghost responded, "No." I asked, "Is he armed with a dangerous weapon?" The ghost responded, "Yes." I asked, "Should we leave?" And the ghost responded, "Yes." So after that, we heard a person talking outside. He wasn't even talking to us, so me and my friend got outside of the building. We were almost in the building for an hour by that, and someone shined a bright flashlight on my friend when he left the building. After both of us left the building and went through the hole in the fence that we used to enter the property with, there was a fat guy, probably 50, with a big dog. He started talking to us and asking what we were doing there and if there were more people next. After we told him the truth, he started saying that we should not go there, and we apologized. But then the guy pulled out a machete and started threatening us that he would off us. He literally said how he would stab us with it. And we are not even 18, so he was threatening minors that he will stab them even after we apologized like 10 times. He didn't even know if someone owned the property. He said, "I don't know who owns it." And as we were backing out from the guy, he told us to come back here the next day and fix the fence that is broken. It's been broken for like 2 years and I had a broken arm. He wanted a person with a broken arm to fix a fence that isn't his. What was that guy even thinking? So after that, we walked away, and of course, we never showed up to fix the fence. But the crazy thing is that ghost warned us about the guy, getting every detail correct, because he didn't even have a reason to harm us. I think he was just some idiotic psychopath who enjoys threatening people that are more vulnerable than him. That is so wild. Like, who walks around with a machete? And props to that ghost for trying to warn you. That's cool of him. Our next story is titled, I Feel Like My Dead Mother Visited Me. Am I going nuts? So my mother and I had a close bond. She and I were very close, and we always talked about the spirit world. Neither of us knew if anything existed beyond the physical world, but we loved talking about the idea. 6 months ago, I took her out to dinner, and we once again got into talking about life and death. She promised when she died, she would reach out to me if that was something that was even possible. Fast forward 4 months and my dear mother suddenly died. She wasn't even sick. Here one second, gone the next. Obviously, this has been a very difficult time for me and my family, and I've been assisting my father with settling her affairs. This whole time, I'm looking out for some sign that she's still there. Nothing at all happened for well over a month, until a few days ago. It was around 6 p.m. I was upstairs playing video games, feeling normal, and I got this really weird sensation like I'm being watched. Not in a scary way, to be clear. Just felt like someone was nearby. There was also a fuzzy feeling in my head, and an overall feeling of being in an altered state somehow. I needed to get started on making dinner, so I head downstairs and my fiancé is down there reading a book. On my way to the kitchen, I say, "I know this is going to sound crazy, but do you feel like my mom is here with us right now?" Before she can answer, I get this overwhelming positive feeling throughout my whole body. Shivers start on the back of my neck, and it's like some energy is full. Shivers start on the back of my neck, and it's like some energy was flowing through my whole body. I later described it as a full body panic attack, but replaced all the negative feelings of a panic attack with good, positive ones. It was unlike anything I ever experienced. This whole time, my feet are planted in one spot, and I'm locking eyes with my fiance. I'm basically saying, "What is this? Wow," over and over. At one point, I noticed my fiance squint her eyes and cock her head to the side, but I was a little too distracted to ask what was up. This sensation lasted about 20 seconds before I began to cry pretty hard. I was crying for the loss of my mom, but also from the joy because deep down, I felt that this was my mom. Anyway, after I began to cry, my fiance had me sit down on the couch and she held me for a bit until I felt more normal. This is the part where I say I'm naturally a skeptic person, maybe too much so, and I definitely would have dismissed this whole experience as a psychological thing if it hadn't been for what my fiance said next to me. She said while this was happening and we were locking eyes, for a brief moment she saw a woman's forehead directly behind me. She said she saw it, looked away, looked back, and it was still there before disappearing for good. What I found interesting is that my fiance is the biggest scaredy cat about literally everything, and despite that, she wasn't frightened by what she saw. She felt a sense of calm and peace, as did I. I felt a slightly less powerful sensation the following day. I said in my mind, "Mom, if that's you, feel free to reach out." Suddenly, my dog runs into the room, gives me this really perplexed look, freezes, and then runs away down the stairs Scooby-Doo style. It was really weird behavior for my dog, to be sure. I just felt like I wanted to share this story in hopes that maybe others have an experience similar. Any mediums present, feel free to give me your perspective. That's so adorable. It makes my heart so happy for you. I fully believe that was her sign telling you she was okay. Our next story is titled, "My Late Grandmother is Haunting My House." I wanted to start this off by saying my grandmother passed away last April at the age of 91. But before she was really sick, me and my husband decided to move in with her to help her get around and with different things. After she passed, we got her house. We have an 18-month-old in the house too, and her toys would go off on their own randomly in the middle of the night. Recently, the craziest thing happened. I just started crocheting about a month ago. My grandmother always wanted to do it, but she couldn't because of arthritis in her hands. Her mother loved to crochet. She was extremely good at it and did many projects that are still everywhere in the house. My dad told me about a week ago that Grandma would be so proud of me if she knew I was crocheting. One day, I was about to grab a hook and start crocheting, and I noticed this with my other hooks. I have never seen this before in my life. I asked everyone I know that's been in the house recently, and nobody knows where it came from. It almost looks homemade, so I can't help thinking my grandmother put it there. I just think it's the strangest thing. I remember looking through all her old hooks and seeing different sizes. I think I would definitely remember seeing this one. That definitely looks like an old rusty crochet hook. I wonder if it was like her mother's and she wanted to pass it down to you. The next story is titled, "I think spirits are following me." Growing up, I kinda got used to seeing ghosts. As a kid, I saw a tall man staring at me while I was sleeping, a ghost in the bathroom, random bruises and cuts. I got used to hearing tapping on my window, and the sound of people walking around even when nobody was actually awake and all that stuff. I guess it's just normal paranormal stuff, but these were just my experiences in my childhood home. Now that I moved to another house, I haven't really been seeing anything until one night I woke up to a whisper saying that my grandmother misses me. Which is weird until I actually felt something start pulling on my leg, trying to drag me out of bed. Followed with another voice telling me that I had to wake up or I'd die. Well, obviously I'm still alive now, how else would I be making this post? But is this like a demon or something? Because apparently this happened to my mom and aunt before, where we would see dead relatives trying to coax us to coming with them. Like, I can deal with something just standing there, but this actually scares me. No, if I can't get rid of this, I'll just live with it. But like, has anyone experienced this? I tried asking my friends, but they low-key think I'm crazy, which could also be a possibility. I don't blame them. Yeah, that definitely doesn't sound like loved ones, but instead something bad. Maybe do a cleanse around your house to try and get rid of it? Our next story is called, I Think There Is a Spirit in My Dorm. I would like to start off by saying all of what I'm about to say has been experiences by 3 people. So my roommates and I have been living in our dorm since September. When it came to my one roommate, they shall be called A, the first sense of activity came pretty early on. I had been unpacking their stuff and had previously checked all the drawers in their room, and there was nothing in them. No one other than A had been in that room at the time. A had been unpacking their stuff and had previously checked all the drawers in their room, and there was nothing in them. No one other than A had been in that room at the time. So A opens the drawer in their desk. Once again, it had been empty before, and sitting in the front of the drawer was a small Hot Wheels car. After a couple of days, the light right outside their room starts flickering. We are trying to debunk that one, and are getting the building to replace the light. After like a couple weeks, A started hearing what sounded like a pacing in their room constantly. It died down after a bit. Could it have been someone in the hallway? Potentially. Did it sound like it was in the hallway? No. There was one day A walked into the room and they saw a shadow figure in the corner of the room. A turned and turned a light on and it was gone. Last week, I got a text from A. I was in my room, they were in theirs. Their text read, "Is your boyfriend here?" The text read, "Is your boyfriend over?" I replied no because it was noon on a Wednesday. A texted again, "I just heard a man coughing." I left my room and checked the rest of the dorm with them. Right after they heard the cough, A went to check the hall to see if anyone was there, and no one was. There were no men in our dorm. Now the other day, I started hearing footsteps from A's room while they weren't home. Once again, it could be someone in the hallway, but there was no one in the hallway. Now my breaking point with this all was over the weekend. I was the only one in the dorm. It was about 10 p.m., dark outside, and I went to the common area outside my room to use the bathroom. So as I'm walking out of the bathroom, all the lights in the hallway were off because I'm lazy. I noticed that A's light was on. In my mind, I'm like, okay, they probably left their light on when they left. I tried to open the door to turn it off, but the door was locked. I find out later that not only did A have the lights off when they left the weekend, but the light was off when they got home. The last thing I'm going to say, whenever I go into A's room, I get a heavy pressure on my chest. I don't know how to debunk that. Can someone please try to debunk any of this? That is so weird. Does it feel negative or just weird? The next story is titled, How Do You Get Rid of a Ghost? So over the past couple of days, it has been getting worse. We got the light changed and it's still flickering. Weird smells that we have no clue where they came from. A smelled cigarette smoke in our smoke-free apartment, and I faintly smelled it, but none of the other roommates smelled it. There have been smells other than the cigarette smoke, but they are hard to explain. The other day we went to walk my boyfriend out of the apartment, and I left the door unlocked because I knew it would only be 2 minutes. And when I came back, the door was locked. I know it wasn't my roommates because they were all out and hadn't come back yet. Things really picked up over the past couple of days though. Shadow figures in A's closet, and a reflection of a man in the window when nobody was there. A was trying to get ready to leave, and had a figure in the corner of her eye. They went and closed the door where they figured it was, and it stopped. Yesterday really made us want to get rid of him, so T, A, and I were all in the kitchen doing dishes, and I felt the pressure that I normally felt while in A's room. I ignored it because, well, it could be in my head. At one point, I walk over to my room to charge my phone, and the pressure stops as soon as I step into a hallway leading to my room. So as I go back in the kitchen, A looks scared and I ask them what's wrong, and they tell T and I that they thought I was behind them. because there was a feeling of someone being there. And so A turned around and saw a full-body apparition in the kitchen. They described him as an old man, a little taller than me. I'm 5'8" in jeans. So we kept doing dishes, and the pressure is back, and I keep seeing movement behind us in anything that has a reflection. So now we are about to set up our Christmas tree. We put on some Christmas music and start decorating the tree. The presence lessens, but is still there. At one point, I go to grab some candy from our communal Christmas candy bowl, and in the reflection of the window, I see an old man, plaid shirt, jeans, sitting on the couch watching us. Eventually the pressure goes away, so because A and T are in a relationship, they kinda share a room some nights, and this happened in T's room. A was kept up most of the night by tapping on the walls. Something moved in T's closet, and something physically moving the bed. T felt the bed being moved, but didn't experience anything else. Can I just have some advice on what to do? Saging really isn't an option, but anything else would be very helpful. Edit. Once again, things still keep happening. More figures in the dorm, more catching things out of the corner of our eyes. The other day, I was in my room and I felt a pressure on my chest that I get whenever the ghost, Henry, that's just what we have taken to calling him, is nearby. I said out loud in the room, "You aren't welcome here, so please leave." Within 2 seconds of saying that, the pressure vanishes, and a shelf we have on the back of our bathroom door hits the wall. Recently, A has moved the toy car from our bathroom sink, and then the next day, A came back and it was back on their desk. The most recent event that occurs, once again, when I was home alone. I am in my room, ready to leave for class, and all of a sudden, I hear the sound of a drawer opening in A's room. I text A that I was like, "Hey, you aren't home, right?" A told me they weren't. I told A about the drawer and they started freaking out because they had locked their bedroom door before they left. Now, earlier, I had left my room and turned the switch for the hall light, the flickers, off, and I left my room to finish up with getting ready for class. I heard the sound of hangers hitting each other, specifically those metal hangers. So I start texting A to tell them about the hangers, and the second I pressed the send button, the light in the hallway turned on. I was so freaked out. That is so scary. If you want to do a cleanse on the room without smoke, you can make some room spray. Boil lavender, rosemary, red pepper flakes, and black pepper in a pot. Let it to boil for 10 minutes. Take it off the stove and let it cool down all the way. Put it in a spray bottle and spray the 4 corners of each of the rooms and then the center of the room. Also, make sure all the windows are open to let out whatever spirit is in the room. After you finish doing that through the space, close the windows. I also suggest putting bells on the door, so if anyone walks through the door, it auto does a sound cleanse on that person and wards off any entity that might be attached to them. The next story is called, "Is the Ghost in My Dorm a Poltergeist?" I made 2 posts on this before. However, there is still some really cool things happening. Background: I live in a dorm with 2 roommates, T and A. A couple weeks after I moved in, we realized we have a ghost. So especially over the past couple days, really neat things have happened. Thursday, November 21st, I was alone in the dorm. I heard a drawer open in A's room, so I texted A and they told me they weren't home and that their door was locked. So I go to grab something from the kitchen and I walk into the hall between the 2 rooms and I hear hangers hitting each other and it sounds like it's in A's room. I go to text A and as soon as I press the send, the hangers stop and the light in the hall turns on. I could see both of the switches. 2. I just got home after being out all day. I walked to the bathroom and left it like I normally did. Later, before I go to the bedroom, I go to the bathroom again. This time, the toilet seat is up. Once again, I text A because they share my bathroom. And A goes on to tell me they hadn't used my bathroom since Friday because they went home for the weekend and had been using T's bathroom since they got back. This morning, when I went to shower, A sees me and starts apologizing because they forgot to take their shower stuff out of the shower. But I walk into the bathroom and it's all on the shelf in the bathroom and not in the shower. Safe to say, A was freaking out. At about 1:40 MST, I left my room to go refill my water. I walk out of my room and go to the kitchen. Out of the corner of my eye, I see movement. I turn. As soon as I do, I see the previous closed door to A's room is slowly opening. I walk over to the room and there is no one in there. A then texts me asking if I was in the kitchen because they could hear me from T's room. Is this a poltergeist? Your dorm is definitely haunted, my friend. The next story is titled, I am absolutely terrified. So this relates to all my other posts on my dorm ghost. So exam weeks are over, and I'm stuck in the dorm till I fly home at the end of the week. My roommates have all gone home for the winter break. We are all well aware of the fact that our ghost, Henry, likes to be really active when it's just one person by themselves in the dorm. So I was about to leave the dorm to go on a walk when out of my room, I see that my roommate's door is open. The only problem is that earlier that day I had checked and it was locked. The roommate had left something in the bathroom, and I was trying to put it in their room. There was no one in the room. Trust me, I checked. I closed the door and left. When I came back, the door was still closed, and I went to turn the knob to check, and it was once again locked. I am horrified. Ew, that is so weird. Our final story is titled, More Haunted Dorm Shenanigans. So I've been making posts over the past little bit about my dorm, and a ghost we have dubbed Henry. So we all went home for winter break, and I came back. The first couple days I was back alone because my other two roommates were at my one roommate's farmhouse. So I was getting normal Henry activity, the lights turning on or off, male coughing, footsteps, etc. Then the other two came back, and Henry activity stopped, except for one light flickering randomly. We did get the light bulb replaced, so we know it's him. So me and my roommate A have been noticing a weird vibe on our side of the dorm, which I'll add is the side that Henry normally hangs out on. A has been getting chest tightness and a pain on the back of their arms. I have been getting frequent headaches, nosebleeds, and pain in my lower back, lower neck, and behind my shoulder blades. So the other day, A was talking to our other roommate and their girlfriend, T, and they left the dorm after kissing T goodbye at around 8:40. A went down to the elevator, said hi to their friend, and saw T outside, even though there was no way that T could have gotten past A without them seeing. T also states that she left the dorm at 8:30. Now A and I have both reported hearing a gargled speech when we are in the bathroom, and for me in my closet, when there is no one else around. Now today, I had this weird experience where I heard A's voice say my name, but I knew A had class. When they got back from class, we discussed it, and A had admitted feeling less comfortable in their room than normal, and that they kept closing the door when they washed their face because they had a bad feeling. The other day, they said they left their door open and they saw a figure walk into their bedroom. This figure didn't match the normal appearance of Henry, so there is no way it could be him. We then realized A's door keeps opening, which in the past was a Henry thing, but it was never that wide and never this frequent. We also discovered that neither of us had been opening the door between our side and the common area, and 90% of the time, that door is open. As I'm typing this, A is sitting with me and we keep hearing knocking and tapping on the walls. And we had to close the door between the common area and our side because of a shadow figure watching us from our side. We've also had devices drain quicker than normal. Phones stop working when trying to research what this clearly darker energy is. And we had these lights that we have noticed keep the negative feeling away, get randomly unplugged while both A and I are in the room, and overheat and stop working while T and I are in the room. We can all tell whatever it is darker and seems to be scaring Henry away. You definitely need to cleanse that room. as soon as possible. Actually, you need to cleanse the entire house as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all the people who let me read their stories here. Remember to like the video, comment, and follow me if you want to see more. Please tell me what the spookiest thing that has happened to you is. If you want me to read your story in my next video, please post it in my Reddit r/spooksubmissions. I post stories. I will see you in my next video. Good night, pumpkin.